What's happening, my friends? It's Cat Sports again, back for another afternoon with the family. Now, as usual, before I get started, let me give a shout out to the JBT community. It's just boxing talk. We're a group of people who just love to talk boxing. And we're always looking for others to join us. And you don't have to have a podcast. The only requirement is you just have to love to talk boxing. That's all. That's all. Miss Katz, hashtag JBT. The Mighty Rise Podcast, hashtag JBT. Ray Patterson, straight out of New Jersey. Mike Masick, Jury Faints, 757, hashtag JBT. Salute to everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cat Sports, the Box Dorian. Today, the greatest fighter from every state in America. So how's everybody doing this Tuesday afternoon? Had to think about it for a minute, the way this time is going fast. I was wondering if it's Tuesday or Wednesday yet. But how's everybody doing? You know what time it is. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Box Dorian. That's me, your friendly neighborhood Box Dorian. Got a big one for you today, and it's kind of long. So we're going to kind of jump right into it today. It's probably going to be two parts. Probably we'll have to finish it off tomorrow. But the greatest fighters from each state in America, okay? Born in each state. That's significant right there, born. Because like I told you yesterday, like for example, a fighter like Tommy Hearns, we know him from Michigan. He was born in Tennessee. So he's going to represent Tennessee on this list. Sugar Ray Leonard, we know him from the state of Maryland, where he resided and lived most of his life and where he resided throughout his boxing career. But he was born in North Carolina, so he's going to represent North Carolina on this list. But we're going to get right into it in about a couple minutes because it's kind of long. Got to cover every state, got a profile on everybody, every fighter. And we'll probably have to finish it tomorrow. But everybody okay? This Tuesday afternoon. Beautiful weather up here in Baltimore, Maryland. Good to be with you again. Appreciate everybody that's in the building so far. Can't wait for my other friends today because I got a long one and we're going to be starting about now. Okay? Okay, let me get my slide display and everything ready for you. Turn the music down a notch. How's that? Is that okay? That's kind of low. I can barely hear it. That's good. Okay. Yeah, we got the greatest boxer from each state in America, you know. Now there's like 6 states I couldn't really find a big name boxer from. The list is in alphabetical order, but I'm going to get those 6 out of the way first because I couldn't really find like Alaska, you know, not too many boxers from Alaska, and didn't really do anything with them. So let's do it. Got a big show today, and we're going to start early. Okay. Now, the greatest boxer from each state in America. Okay. Now, although boxing has been relegated to niche status in the United States, it is so firmly rooted in America's sporting consciousness that the country continues to produce countless world champions to complement the sport's strong history of legendary figures, right? And today, we're going to talk about the greatest fighter by birth. That's important, by birth, from each state in the country. Now, for decades, boxing, along with horse racing and baseball, was central to American sporting life. The world's heavyweight champion was the most accomplished, celebrated, and famous figure in sports at one time. And fights sold out ballparks, stadiums, and arenas, or had massive structures built specifically just to accommodate the sport. Now, time passed and the landscape shifted, but somehow, despite often being mired in scandal and corrupt politics, boxing perseveres. Even if the NFL, NBA, and NCAA football and basketball have surpassed boxing in popularity. But as popular as America's marquee leagues have become, they will never match boxing's fascinating, rich, and unconventional history. Because the sheer diversity of the United States is a key contributing factor to the quality of boxers it consistently produces. As migrants, first-generation Americans from every continent have made names for themselves stateside, and they wade into the intense competition of cities like New York, Detroit, and Philadelphia to test themselves against the best opponents in the world. That's right, right here in the United States. We have some of the best boxers in the world. Now, as I said, the list is compiled by which state the fighters were born in, not the state they resided in or fought out of during their careers. Because in some situations, there's a difference between the state a fighter was born in and the state where their boxing career unfolded. You know, like I said, the Tommy Hearns example, the Sugar Ray example. Hearns will represent Tennessee. Sugar Ray will represent North Carolina, although their careers didn't unfold in those 2 states. But this list is going by where a fighter was born at, okay? Now, also, like I was saying, not every state has a storied boxing history or a deep talent pool to draw from for a list like this one. So finding a worthy fighter to represent some states was virtually impossible. Now I have 6 such states like this, okay? And we're going to get them out the way first. Talk about them first, okay? First one, Alaska. Now, because it is geographically isolated from every state in America, securing marquee fights is difficult for any fighter based in Alaska. In fact, the state has only played host to a select number of professional fights cards. Although Hector Camacho did fight there in 1983. Now, David Curry, a 2008 U.S. Olympic team member, although he did not box in the game, he was a standout amateur and is a longtime Alaska resident who now owns a boxing academy in Anchorage. Now, Curry was a pro prospect, but he had to retire due to injuries before he had a chance to turn pro. Okay. Another state where it was difficulty finding good boxing talent from was New Hampshire. Now, the only recognized name from New Hampshire boxing history is Nottingham's Jason Lee Howyer. Jason Lee Howyer. He had a record of 21 wins, 7 losses, 1 draw, 8 knockouts. He was a journeyman who fought for a slew of minor and regional titles during his career. And he faced the likes of Carson Jones, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., and Peter Quiller. Another state I had trouble finding a big name from was Nevada. Now that's strange, Nevada, right? Now, listen, Nevada, because of Las Vegas, has a practically unmatched boxing tradition. But curiously though, the state itself hasn't produced an abundance of elite fighters. Now, while the likes of Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Mike Tyson call or have called Nevada home, Nevada tends to be a state where boxers migrate to instead of come out of, you know what I mean? That said, Ishii Smith, 29 wins, 8 losses, 12 knockouts. He was the first Las Vegas-born boxer to win a world title. Also, the state is home to former female champion Melinda Cooper, 23 wins, 3 losses, 11 knockouts. Also home to 1932 Olympian Joseph Lang. And there's a couple notable boxing officials from Nevada, such as former referee Mills Lane, who was a 1960 NCAA boxing champion, and another former referee, Richard Steele, who boxed in the U.S. Marine Corps. Okay. Another one of the 6 states I couldn't find real talent in was North Dakota. Now, if this list had not been done by boxers born in these states, 1984 Olympic silver medalist and light heavyweight champion Virgil Hill, 51 wins, 7 losses, 24 knockouts, would have been an easy selection for North Dakota. But Hill was born in Missouri. But he did box out of Williston, North Dakota. And he had his farewell fight in Bismarck. Now, over a remarkable career spanning 58 fights, Hill went 24 wins, 5 losses, 7 knockouts in world championship fights. Okay, got a couple more states where really couldn't find any really boxing talent. Another one was South Dakota. Showtime the Guy Pass. What's up, Showtime the Guy Pass? Salute, how are you today? How's everything out there in St. Louis, Missouri? All right, salute, Showtime the Guy Pass. We're talking about the greatest boxer born in each state in America. Has to be born in that state to represent it, okay? Can't have moved there at a young age and fought there his entire career. No, hasn't been born there, okay? South Dakota was another state I couldn't find any really big names that came from born there. Sean Hawk, 23 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw, 17 knockouts. He's a member of the Crow Creek Sioux tribe. He stands out as a notable fighter from South Dakota, from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Hawk had a reported 108 wins, 12 loss amateur record, and as a pro, he challenged the WBO light heavyweight champion Nathan Cleverly on short notice in 2012 and was stopped in 8 rounds. And Hawk never fought again after that fight, okay? And finally, Wyoming. Ryan Brisky, who fought out of Gillette, Wyoming, was an alternate on the 1996 U.S. Olympic team and made the state's list of its 50 greatest sports figures. As a pro, though, Gretzky only went 6 wins, 1 loss, 6 knockouts. 100% knockout rate, though. 6 wins, 6 knockouts. Wow. But anyway, he retired in 2000 with just 7 professional fights. Now, interestingly, on July 4th, 1869, Wyatt Earp, y'all heard of him, Wyatt Earp organized Wyoming's most famous boxing match, a fight between Mike Donovan and John Shaughnessy. Okay, now let's look at the list of the greatest fighters from each state in America in alphabetical order. Those were just 6 states that I couldn't really find any big name guys from, so they're not included on the list. Let's talk fashion, aka Remo, hashtag JBT in the building. Started early today, Remo, because this is a long list and probably going to be 2 parts to continue into tomorrow. So didn't have the luxury of waiting until 2:30 today because this is long. I went through it earlier and I didn't even get it done in the 2 hours. Probably finish tomorrow. Okay, well, let's do it. This is the greatest fighter from each state in America, alphabetical order. We start with, am I at the end of it? Yeah, Alabama. Okay. And the greatest fighter that's born in these states. A fighter can't just have moved there when he was 2 or 3 years old and then fought there for his entire career. No, he had to be born in these states. So the greatest fighter born in Alabama was Joe Louis, the Brown Bomber, Joe Louis. Let me cut that down another notch before we get started. Okay? Yeah, Joe Louis. Come on. I got a big slide display too, like 50-something. Bear with me for 1 second. I'm going to drop that another notch to right there. Perfect. Ain't that perfect, y'all? Yeah. I guess. If it's too loud, let me know. Phil Knuckles would. Okay, Joe Louis, the Brown Bomber, the greatest fighter born in the state of Alabama. Okay? Actually, Lafayette. Wait a minute. Yeah, actually, Lafayette, Alabama. He retired with a record of 66 wins, 3 losses, and 52 knockouts. Okay? Now, it's fitting that the list would start out with legendary heavyweight champion Joe Louis, one of the greatest fighters in boxing history, and a man who transcended sports to become an icon and inspiration to African Americans, as well as a unifying force on the precipice of World War II. Joe Louis. Louis's records and accolades speak for themselves. Remember, 25 consecutive defenses of his title, a record that still holds to this day as the standard for any division in boxing. Nearly 12-year reign as heavyweight champion, also a record that stands to this day. He was named the Rings Fighter of the Year on 4 different occasions: 1936, 1938, 1939, and 1941. And he is generally regarded as one of boxing's greatest pure power punchers, okay? Now, despite his infamous Bomb of the Month Club, Louis shared the ring with fellow luminaries like Rocky Marciano, Jersey Joe Walcott, Billy Conn, Ezzard Charles, John Henry Lewis, Jimmy Bivens, and German Max Schmeling. Now, he lost to Schmeling in 1936 by knockout. That was Ring Magazine's Fighter of the Year, by the way. And Louis avenged his defeat by a punishing first-round knockout in one of boxing's truly transcendent events as the world headed towards World War II. And that wasn't just a historic boxing event. That was just a historic event, period, for the world, okay? Now, eventually, Louis and Schmeling became friends. And that was a testament to both their characters. Schmeling was actually a pallbearer at Joe Louis's funeral. Now, although Louis struggled financially later in life and would eventually succumb to cardiac arrest after suffering from pugilistic dementia, he remains a uniquely indelible figure in a sport filled with them. Okay? Next state is Arizona. The greatest boxer born in Arizona was Michael Carbajal. There's Michael. Actually, born in Phoenix, Arizona. Okay? 49 wins, 4 losses, 33 by way of knockout. Let me take a drink of water. Didn't get much sleep last night. I can hear it in my own voice. But yeah, I'm gonna get through this good big show I got planned for you today. And of course, tomorrow is probably gonna start with the finishing this one up, and then brought to you by Al Booger. Judges, judging criteria, boxing rules over the Queensberry rules. Thursday is the history of boxing in Asia. Friday, the life and career of the Big Bear, Charles Sonny Liston. Okay, Michael Carbajal is the best boxer ever born in Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona. Now, few light flyweights have ever been as dynamic or packed as much dynamite in their fists as Michael Carbajal, okay? Who clearly stands out from a relatively thin list of fighters born in Arizona, okay? But Carbajal, who was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 2006, he was a genuinely great fighter who just happens to be perpetually overlooked because he competed at 108 pounds, okay? A lot of people don't pay too much attention to those weight classes down there, okay? That's why Carbajal is so overlooked, but a great fighter. Okay, remember the record? He had 15 wins, 3 losses, and 10 knockouts in world title fights. And won 9, lost 4, with 5 knockouts against other world champions. He consistently faced top opposition during his run at the elite level. Carbajal was known by the moniker Manitas de Piedras. That means little hands of stone. That was a homage to Roberto Duran, but also a testament to Carvajal's worth as a fighter. Case in point, in 1994, the Ring named Carbajal the greatest light flyweight ever, which marks the symbolic culmination of the talent that he oozed after claiming silver at the 1988 Olympics as part of one of the greatest ever U.S. boxing squads. Yeah, that 12 was a great 12-year run. 76, 80, 84, 88. I know it had Carbajal. I know Riddick Bowe was on it. Can't remember too many others from that team, but yeah, Carbajal, Riddick Bowe, and they're just a great team though. And one interesting fact about Carvajal's career that's both refreshing and aberrant is that he retired with a meaningful win. His last fight took place in June of 1999. It was a TKO victory over then emerging world champion and all-action star Jorge Arce. Ironically, Carbajal was named the Ring's Comeback Fighter of the Year following that fight. And that was a fitting end to a remarkable career. Yep. He won Comeback Fighter of the Year after his last fight in his last year of boxing. Okay. The greatest fighter born in the state of Arkansas is the profile for Friday. The Big Bear, the Big Bad Bear, Charles Sonny Liston. Okay. D for the win in the building. What's up, D for the win? How are you today, bro? Yeah, we jumped into things a little early today because we got a long one, and probably we have to finish this up tomorrow. This is a long list. All the greatest fighters were born in each state, so that's significant. Born in each state. Okay. Like a Tommy Hearns, he's going to represent Tennessee because he was born in Tennessee, but his career played out in Michigan, of course, out of that historic Kronk gym. But this list is states where they were born at. And Sugar Ray Leonard was born in North Carolina, so he's going to represent North Carolina. But anyway, from the greatest fighter from the state of Arkansas is Charles Sonny Liston, the Big Bear. And he's our profile Friday too, by the way, okay? Actually born in Johnston Township, Arkansas. Finished his career with 50 wins, 4 losses, 39 knockouts. The Big Bear, Charles Sonny Liston. Okay? Now, few fighters have ever possessed as potent a left jab, not to mention as fearsome a scowl as Sonny Liston had. And he was one of boxing's true intimidators. Liston made opponents quaver, and cultivated a demeanor that preceded famous other fear inspirers like Mike Tyson and the Hawk, Aaron Pryor. Now, the bulk of Liston's accomplishments came before his ultimately brief stint as the world's heavyweight champion. Although his 2-1 round decapitations of Floyd Patterson created an aura of invincibility, the likes of which few fighters have ever had, okay? Now, some of Liston's other marquee wins included stoppages of Nino Valdez, Wayne Bethea, Zora Foley, Albert Westfall, Roy Harris, Mike DeJohn, and Cleveland Williams twice. Now, of course, unfortunately, Liston is best remembered for the role he played in the rise of Muhammad Ali, okay? Because remember when they first fought, Ali was in Cassius Clay. Ali came in as a massive underdog, and he later admitted that he was terrified of Sonny Liston. So that's why he was acting so crazy, because he was really scared. He was terrified, okay? But however, in a shocking turn of events, he made Liston quit. And in the rematch, remember Ali landed that infamous phantom punch. Nobody saw it. Even people sitting on the front row of the fight, nobody saw it. And he got a first round knockout that is still debated to this day. You know, now Liston fought on after that fight in relative obscurity. But after those fights and the circumstances surrounding his death, which remain mysterious. In fact, check this out. When Canadian champion George Chuvalo signed to fight Liston in 1970, Liston had already been dead for a week. When the man signed to fight him, he'd already been dead for a week. Crazy, okay? Now, we go to California. The greatest fighter born in California, Manuel Ortiz. Sorry about that's not a good picture. It was kind of hard to find a picture. You know, some of these guys that fought back in the old eras, it's hard to find good pictures of them, you know. But anyway, Manuel was born in Corona, California, completed his career with a record of 100 wins, 23 losses, 100 wins, 28 losses, 3 draws, and 54 knockouts. Now, Manuel Ortiz was one of the greatest ever bantamweight champions, one of the fighters who defined the 1940s. In 1942, he defeated Lou Salica to win the world bantamweight title, which he would go on to defend 15 times. That was his first reign as champion. Now, that first reign as champion was a dominant 5-year stretch, and it included a remarkable 8 title defenses in 1943 alone. 8 title defenses in 1 year. And when you consider the activity level of today's fighters, Ortiz's 1943 campaign would incredibly stand by itself as enough to put him in the Hall of Fame, just that 1 year, when you look at what these guys do today, okay? Now, although Ortiz would lose his title to Harold Dade in 1947, he would, like so many legendary champions, reclaim it in a rematch. And then he went on to defend it successfully 5 more times before losing it to Vic Tawil in 1950. Now, interestingly, Ortiz was the first fighter entered in the BoxRec's online database. First fighter to be recorded in the BoxRec. Wow, with Manuel Ortiz. And he also served in the U.S. Army. Unfortunately, died of cirrhosis of the liver at age 53 after living in destitution. A tragic end for a legendary champion, Manuel Ortiz. Okay. The greatest fighter born in Colorado, Jack Dempsey. That's Jack on the right there. Okay. Jack Dempsey. Greatest fighter born in Colorado. From Manassas, Colorado. They call him the Manassas Mauler. Ended his career with 54 wins, 6 losses, 9 draws, 44 knockouts. That's a lot of draws. Wow. Okay. Jack Dempsey. Greatest fighter born in California. Called him the Manassas Mauler. He attained celebrity status that few fighters can fathom. At his peak as world heavyweight champion between 1919 and 1926, he was the most revered sporting figure in America, not just boxing, sports, period. There was a time when Babe Ruth was active in baseball, Barbie Jones was active in golf, Bill Tilden was active in tennis, and Red Grange was active in football. And they were called the Big Five, and Jack Dempsey was more popular than all of them, okay? Now, he's a typical, literal rags to riches story because he grew up, he went from hopping trains and sleeping in hobo camps to participating in boxing's first $5 million gate, okay? Now, Dempsey is also credited with advancing boxing from a stylistic standpoint, okay? His aggressive power punching and fluid combinations resulted in brutal knockouts, and it set a new benchmark for how to thrill and entertain audiences that sometimes exceeded 100,000 people. That was a lot of people back. It's a lot of people now, 100,000 people at a fight. This combination of boxing chops, charisma, and the emergence of mainstream celebrity culture in the United States made Dempsey one of those rare figures seemingly destined for his time and place. In boxing, greatness is largely contingent. Well, in boxing, greatness is largely contingent on indelible moments, win or lose, and Dempsey had a plethora of them. His world title defense against Argentine Luis Firpo, which saw Dempsey knocked out of the ring before he rallied to stop Firpo. Okay? Then his knockout of George Carpenter was the first fight to be broadcast in a mass radio audience, as well as boxing's first ever $1 million gate. And Dempsey was also famously, he lost his last fight to Gene Tunney in a contest that featured the infamous long count, known as the long count fight. But even in defeat, Jack Dempsey confirmed that he was larger than life and that no fight or count could encapsulate all that he represented. Jack Dempsey. Where's everybody at today? Okay. Greatest fighter born in Connecticut, the Will o' the Wisp, Willie Pep. Willie Pep, one of the greatest defensive fighters ever. There's Willie. Okay. Born in Middletown, Connecticut. BN Boxing News and Mike Grimm in the building. Salute, gentlemen. Greatest fighter born in each state in America today. Salute to Mike Grimm and BN Boxing News in the building. Started a little early. Well, it was after 2, but I didn't wait till 2:30 today because this is a long list. And I'll probably have to finish it up tomorrow. Okay. Yeah. This will go into tomorrow's show a little bit. But yeah, Willie Pep, greatest fighter born in Connecticut, out of Middletown, Connecticut. Called him the Will or the Whistle. Okay. Finished his career with, get this, 241 fights. He won 229, lost 11, had one draw, along with 65 knockouts. He is unanimously considered to be one of the greatest pure boxers of all time and the best featherweight to ever don a pair of gloves. Considered that. Okay. Willie Pep, at only 20 years of age, won the New York State Athletic Commission World Featherweight Championship. It would go on to amass a record of 434 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw before losing the title to fellow legend Sandy Sadler, who's on this list, which precipitated the start of one of boxing's bitterest rivalries between Pep and Sadler. In their second fight, Pep reclaimed the title via a 15-round unanimous decision, although Sadler would ultimately prove to have his number. Tellingly, The Ring in 1997 ranked their final encounter, which saw Pep succumb via 9th-round knockout, as the 6th dirtiest fight in boxing history. However, despite finding his kryptonite in Sadler, Pep's 2 title reigns and stylistic virtuosity secured him an unimpeachable legacy. Okay, Willie Pep. Now, interestingly, Pep's legend also extends to boxing's rich apocrypha. There's a newspaper article by Don Riley, although some speculate it was written by Pep himself. Listen to this, alleging that Pep won a round in his 1946 fight against Jackie Graves without throwing a punch. Now, how is that possible? If the other guy scored 1 punch, he won the round, right? Or if he didn't, it would be a draw. I don't see how that's possible. But the fact of fact, Willie Pep seems like the only boxer who could have accomplished such a feat. But how do you win the round without throwing a punch? You either lose it or the other guy, it's a draw, right? Because if the other guy scores 1 punch, then don't he win the round? Yeah, so Willie, I think you probably made that up. But anyway, Willie Pep was the greatest boxer born in Connecticut, okay? Next is, let's see. Who's next? Next is Delaware. Greatest boxer born in Delaware is Dave Tiberi. That's Dave on the right, okay? From Newcastle, Delaware. Dave had a professional finished career with only 28 fights, 22 wins, 3 losses, 3 draws, 7 knockouts. Okay. Now, with fewer than 1 million inhabitants, the state of Delaware has never been a boxing hotbed. But as such, Dave Tiberi, a middleweight contender during the 80s and 90s, tops the list of the best fighters to emerge from Delaware, okay? Despite never winning a world title. Tiberi should have been crowned IBF 160-pound champion in February 8, 1992. Came into that fight against James Toney, a 10-1 underdog, right? James Toney was the defending champion and sported a 28-win, 0-loss, 2-draw record coming into that fight. And with Toney emerging as one of the world's best boxers, the Tiberi fight was viewed as nothing more than a tune-up for Toney. However, in what appeared to be a stunner, Tiberi cleverly outfought Toney, despite having a point deducted in round 6 for a low blow. But the scores, though, would tell a different story, a different, overtly corrupt story. Tiberi lost a split decision. Now, one judge gave it to Tiberi, 117, 111, which was probably right. And the other 2 judges both had it 115, 112 for Toney. Okay? So he should have been a champion. In the fight's aftermath, an investigation led by Senator William Roth of Delaware into corruption in boxing revealed that two of the judges weren't even licensed to judge a fight in New Jersey where the fight took place. Now, Tiberi was offered, it wasn't overturned, but Tiberi was offered a rematch and a far more lucrative purse. I guess they're going to pay him for cheating, right? But he declined on principle, insisting that he be allowed to enter the ring as the champion because he won the fight, but they wouldn't do that. So they never had the rematch. Now, although he retired in his mid-20s, Tiberi is hailed as the world champion Delaware deserves, even if they never had it, because of two bogus scorecards. Okay? Abe Tiberi. Okay. Florida. Greatest fighter born in Florida, Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr. There's Roy. Born in Pensacola, Florida. Finished his career with a record of 64 wins, 9 losses, 46 by way of knockout. Okay? Now, when it comes to pure physical gifts and sheer raw athleticism, no fighter can come close to touching Roy Jones Jr. Okay? Now, this isn't to say that Jones is not a good boxer. Far from it. Rather, it's merely meant to emphasize the extent of his raw talent. A combination of blistering speed, concussive power, and inhuman reflexes that reduce his opponents to helpless, plodding punching bags. Now, it's no surprise that Jones became the first ever middleweight champion to win a portion of the heavyweight title. Along the way, he became a dominant light heavyweight and outclassed the slick and skilled James Toney at 168 pounds, when both were still undefeated. But more than even Roy's iconic victories, he will be remembered for jaw-dropping displays of boxing brilliance, like when he played possum against Glenn Kelly, with his hands held behind his back, evading punches until he sprung forward into action to end the fight with a single blow. Remember that? Although he continued to fight past the time when he should have retired for mysterious and ultimately futile reasons, nothing, not even a hurrying knockout suffered toward the end of his career, can remotely erase the memories of a fighter who helped define the pound-for-pound concept, Roy Jones Jr. Okay? Now, Georgia. Greatest fighter born in Georgia, Sugar Ray Robinson. There he is. Where's everybody at today? Wow. Missing this good show. Sugar Ray Robinson. Is something going on today? What is it, Tuesday? The press conference, something going on right now? Okay. Okay, Sugar Ray Robinson from Alley, Georgia. Best fighter to come out. Born in Georgia. Finished his career with a record of 173 wins, 19 losses, 6 draws, 108 by way of knockout. Now, although the nature of pound-for-pound rankings implies subjectivity as well as degrees of both uncertainty and skepticism, the argument that Sugar Ray Robinson is the greatest fighter of all time is almost impossible to counter. Okay? Robinson was a seemingly perfect pugilist, a master boxer and devastating puncher who reigned as both welterweight and middleweight champion while earning 1950s Fighter of the Decade from the Ring magazine. Sugar Ray was such an exceptional fighter that he's generally regarded as arguably the best welterweight and middleweight ever. Okay, welterweight and middleweight, or at least around in the top of both divisions. Now, in an era with fewer than half the weight classes that we now have, okay, this is an even more remarkable accomplishment. Robinson's epic 6 fights with Jake LaMotta, of which Sugar Ray won 5, including the infamous St. Valentine's Day Massacre. That's the sort of robbery that's quite literally no longer possible nowadays. Now, LaMotta was the first man to defeat Sugar Ray, but after that initial setback, Sugar Ray would go on to reel off 91 straight victories. After that first loss to LaMotta, he won 91 straight after that. Now, while he probably fought too long, consider this. When Sugar Ray first retired after losing to Joey Maxim in 1952 in an unsuccessful bid for the light heavyweight title, Sugar Ray was winning on all cards before he had to stop because of heat exhaustion. But after losing that fight, okay, he's had a record of 131 wins, 3 losses, 2 draws. Enough said, okay? Now, Hawaii. Best fighter born in Hawaii, Carl Bobo Olson from Honolulu, Hawaii. And Sugar Ray was from Alley, Georgia, by the way. Carl Bobo Olson from Honolulu, Hawaii. Had a record of 97 wins, 16 losses, 2 draws, 46 knockouts. Lonnie Lee, hashtag JBT. What's up, Lonnie Lee? Best fighter born in each state in America. Had to start a little early today because it's a long list, and we'll probably have to finish it tomorrow, starting out tomorrow's show. But we're at Hawaii, and the best fighter that's born in Hawaii was Carl Bobo Olson. Salute Lonnie Lee, hashtag JBT. Okay? Let's talk about Carl Bobo Olson for a minute. Born in Honolulu, okay? Now, he's a former middleweight champion. He was named Fighter of the Year for 1953 by the Ring magazine. That was a defining stretch of his career that saw him finally emerge from the specter of Sugar Ray Robinson, who had already stopped Olson in 1950 by 12th round knockout and defeated him by decision in 1953, 15-round decision. Now, although Robinson would later knock Olson out on 2 more occasions in middleweight title fights, Olson would leave his own mark on the 160-pound division also. He filled the gap of Sugar Ray's first retirement by beating Randy Turpin to become world middleweight champion in 1953. And he would go on to make 3 defenses, including one against the legendary Kid Gavilan. Like Sugar Ray, Olson would also jump up to light heavyweight. But when he challenged Archie Moore, he was stopped in 3 rounds. Okay? Now, those last 2 stoppage losses to Sugar Ray Robinson came shortly after the Archie Moore fight in 1955 and 1956. And Olson went on to fight on until 1966 with mixed success. However, by then he had already set a new standard for any emerging boxers from Hawaii. An International Boxing Hall of Fame inductee, Olson died of Alzheimer's disease in Honolulu in 2002. Carl Bobo Olson. Okay? Next, Idaho. The greatest fighter born in Idaho, Kenny King. Kenny King on the left. That's Kenny on the left. Now, Kenny was from Emmett, Idaho. Finished his career with a professional record of 51 wins, 4 losses, 28 by way of KO. Okay? He was known as the Emmett Eliminator, you know. from Emmett, Idaho, and at the Emmett Eliminator. He's a state legend, okay? He was a cruiserweight contender with a rugged, brawling style. They routinely drew raucous crowds in a state that has never been known for boxing, okay? And make no mistake, King never considered himself a craftsman in the ring. He said, "I was not skilled. I plowed ahead. I may not have been a great boxer or puncher, but I was a good small-town guy who always plowed ahead." He held 3 minor cruiserweight titles during his career: the WBF, the IBC, and the IBA titles. Although he never challenged for one of the bigger world championships, he consistently faced solid competition, and he amassed a remarkable 4-2 record in fights held in his home of Idaho. And in his 4 losses, he was only stopped 1 time. And guess what? He was stopped in the last round of the last fight of his career. Ain't that crazy? First time the man got stopped was in the last round of his last fight. Wow. And he debuted as a 132-pound amateur. Now, they say he lost 9 of his first 10 fights as an amateur. And he was told by the state commission that he'd have to stop boxing if he didn't improve. But he did develop, right? He honed his aggressive, determined, and frenetic pressure tactics as he rose in weight, claiming a national junior Olympics title. He would wait for his father's shift day work to finish at the sawmill, and then they would train together. And it was this humbleness and dedication that allowed King to rise to relative prominence and, more importantly, give back to the state that supported him so unconditionally. King said, "I wanted to create not just more boxing fans, but also Kenny King fans." Kenny King demonstrated unequivocally that success in prize fighting can't solely be measured by wins, losses, or world titles. Kenny King. Thomas Hill, #JBT. What's up, T Hill? This is the greatest boxer born in each state in America today. Okay? We are now up to, we just did Kenny King from Idaho, but salute Thomas Hill, #JBT. What's next? Illinois. Illinois is next. And the greatest boxer born in Illinois is Packy McFarland from Chicago. Now, Packy had a record of 70-0, 5 draws, 50 knockouts. He lost 1 newspaper decision. I'm going to have to really dig into that newspaper because I'm not really clear on that. What the hell that is, to tell you the truth, the newspaper decision. But I will let you know. I will check it out and let you know. Okay? Now, with an undefeated record excluding 1 newspaper decision, lightweight Packy McFarland is one of boxing history's more curious cases because he never won or even challenged for a world title. And yet, in his book, The 100 Greatest Boxers of All Time, Bert Sugar rated McFarland at number 32. That's high praise coming from Bert Sugar. And this man never had a title, never even fought for one. And that's McFarland on the right, by the way, on the left hand. Yeah. Now, some of Packy McFarland's notable victories include wins over Jack Britton, who would eventually claim the welterweight title, Freddie Welsh. He got a win and a draw against Welsh, and Jimmy Britt. Britt faced 6 future Hall of Famers over 10 fights in a career that only spanned 23 fights. Wow. And that's just to name a few who McFarland went up against. Okay? And he did all this by the time he was 26 years old. Despite retiring just as he was entering his prime, the sterling record McFarland had amassed proved more than enough to earn him enshrinement in the International Boxing Hall of Fame. So Bert Sugar knew what he was talking about. Bert Sugar called him 32 on the greatest fighters of all time list, and the man never fought for a title, but he's in the International Boxing Hall of Fame. And he died at age 47. Where Fallon enjoyed lucrative success in brewing and contracting ventures, and he stayed connected with boxing, mentoring Barney Ross and working with the Illinois Athletic Commission. All right, Indiana. We're gonna go back to the top. Where is everybody today? Is something going on out there? Something that I don't know about? Now, Indiana. Okay, the greatest boxer born in Indiana is Tony Zell. And he was born in Gary, Indiana, home of the Jackson 5. Give me 4 more. I got to take a drink. Yeah, he's from the same place the Jackson 5 was from. Yeah, Gary, Indiana. Salute Mike Masick. Okay. And Tony Zell finished his career with a record of 67 wins, 18 losses, 2 draws, 45 wins by way of knockout. Okay, whatever was happening must be over because everybody's showing up now. Everybody, this is the greatest fighter born in every state in America. Keyword, born, okay? Had to be born to make this list, born in that state. That's why you're going to see Thomas Hearns representing Tennessee, Sugar Ray Leonard representing North Carolina, because that's where they were born at. Now, Tony Zell was a 2-time middleweight champion, and he's remarkable for a myriad of reasons. For starters, he's one of the rare elite fighters who sustained more defeats during the first half of his career when he was an emerging contender than when he ascended to the elite level. He also served, that didn't make sense, but he also served in the Navy during World War II, meaning despite being the reigning champion, he didn't box for 4 years, 1942, 1946. Those are the exact same 4 years that Joe Louis missed in the war. And then, of course, there's the matter of his genuinely epic trilogy with Rocky Graziano, which took place in a mere 21-month span. And Graziano was a suspected mafia fighter and alleged to have been in many fixed fights. Just alleged. Not Tony Zell. That's Rocky Graziano on the left that he's fighting, but we're talking about Tony Zell. But he had a trilogy with Rocky Graziano who was alleged to be in many fixed fights. But this is Tony Zell. And Zell won the National Boxing Association middleweight title with a stoppage of Al Hofstadt in 1940. He would defend that title and at the same time added the New York State Athletic Commission championship to his haul in 1941. Defended those titles 4 times, culminating in his first fight against Graziano. Now, Zell won the first fight. That was the Ring Magazine's 1946 Fight of the Year. And guess what? Ring Magazine's 1947 Fight of the Year was a rematch between Zell and Graziano, okay? And Graziano won that one. He gave Zell a hellacious beating, okay? Oh, no. He gave Zell a hellacious beating, but Zell rallied and stopped Graziano, okay? Now, that was one of the fights they suspected was fixed because Graziano just beat the brakes off of Zell for the entire fight, but somehow Zell rallied and stopped Graziano. And Graziano was alleged to be a mafia fighter, and that was one of the fights they suspected was fixed because he was clearly winning, then all of a sudden he just got knocked out, okay? Yeah. Now, they fought 3 times. Even though Zell would lose the title in his final fight of his career, he didn't go out quietly. He took on all-comers, including Marcel Cerdan, in his final fight. He was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 1991. Now also, This was Indiana. Frankfort, Indiana's Jack Dillon won 94 fights, 8 losses, 15 draws, 66 knockouts. He deserves mention. He held a sometimes disputed claim to the World Light Heavyweight Championship between 1914 and 1916. Right? He also deserves mention. Despite only standing 5'7", Jack the Giant Killer was unanimously recognized as one of his era's most explosive fighters. A 5'7" light heavyweight. Wow. Okay, for Iowa, Michael Nunn. Michael Nunn is the greatest fighter born in Iowa. Okay. Yeah, I broke my record of likes yesterday. Previous record was 33. The record now is 34. Can I get 40? But Michael Nunn from Iowa. Davenport, Iowa. 58 wins, 4 losses, 37 knockouts. Okay, Michael Nunn. After compiling a sensational 168-8 amateur record and narrowly missing out on qualifying for the 1984 Olympics, Michael Nunn embarked on a professional career that would see him become a 2-weight champion at 160 and 168. Now at middleweight, Nunn displayed a combination of skills and punching power that had fans and pundits pegging him for a sustained run as a pound-for-pound champion. Now, during his reign as IBF and lineal middleweight champion, Nunn's impressive victories included his first-round knockout of the year of Sambu Kalambi in 1989, stoppages of champions Frank Tate and Donald Curry, and decisions over Marlon Starling and Iran Barkley. That's an impressive list of fighters from that era right there, man. Wow. Now, one fight, though, that could have enhanced Nunn's legacy even further was his shocking knockout loss to James Lights Out Tony, who Nunn was soundly outboxing by scores of 97-93, 98-92, and 99-91, way ahead at the time of the stoppage. Now, that was when a Tony left hook detonated against Nunn's jaw in the 11th, and a follow-up barrage after that had somehow risen prompted the stoppage of the fight. Yeah, I remember that. That was stunning. Nunn was a heavy favorite and was winning handily when he got stopped. However, Nunn did bounce back and claimed the WBA and lineal super middleweight title. He went up, making 4 successful defenses. But despite all this in-ring success, life after boxing would prove tragic for Nunn. He ended up in prison. He bought a kilogram of cocaine from an undercover agent. Now, I don't know if he's out, but he had a release date of 2024. We'll have to check into that because his sentence, he was supposed to get released this year. Okay, Michael Nunn. Okay, Kansas. The greatest fighter born in the state of Kansas, Jess Willard from Potawatomi, Kansas. There's Jess Willard on the right. Big guy. Jess Willard was huge. Yeah. Now, he had a professional, finished his career with a record of, he just had 27 fights altogether. 22 wins, 5 losses, 1 draw, 20 knockouts. Great knockout rate. From sheer size and power punching standpoints, former world heavyweight champion Jess Willard would have found himself right at home amongst the giants that populate the contemporary landscape, yeah, of boxing. Today, yeah, he would be right at home with these big giants we got nowadays. He was way before his time. Though also sometimes relegated to a transitional footnote in boxing history, he was 6'6", called himself the Potawatomi Giant. He was the man who ended Jack Johnson's title reign down there in Cuba. Yep. Some say it was fixed, but Johnson, you know, to his dying day said it was not fixed. You know, he said Willard really beat him. Now, Willard was a hellacious hitter who scored knockouts in all but 2 of his wins. Yeah, like I told you, he had a great knockout rate. While he wasn't the boxing savant that so many others in these rankings were, Willard did particularly well, considering he turned professional at 29 years old after hoping to cash in by exploiting his size in the prize ring. You know, he was billed as a white hope. He defeated similarly hyped contenders and developed a rabid following as he worked his way towards the shot at Johnson, which took place in Havana, Cuba in 1915. Now, in sweltering heat, Willard stalked and outmuscled the somewhat lethargic champion, scoring a historic knockout in the 26th round of a scheduled 45-round fight. Willard would earn a newspaper decision victory in his only successful defense, which came against Frank Moran, setting the stage for his fight against Jack Dempsey. In one of the most savage beatings in boxing history, Dempsey floored Willard 7 times in the first round, cracking the champion's skull, fracturing his jaw, and shattering his ribs. Willard, though, would not quit. He somehow made it through rounds 2 and 3 on his feet before he was mercifully pulled out of the contest. Okay, his defeat final, but his courage unquestioned. Yeah, Jack Dempsey beat the brakes off of him. Okay, next is Kentucky. You know who that is? The greatest boxer born in Kentucky, the Louisville Slugger, the greatest, Muhammad Ali. Louisville, Kentucky. Finished his career with a record of 56 wins, 5 losses, 37 by way of KO. Why am I still on 19 likes? Everybody hitting that appreciation button, please. Thank you. Now, it seems wrong to try and encapsulate anything about Muhammad Ali, who passed away as the greatest, okay? Now, Ali was more than a boxer. He was a cultural icon, a symbol for peace, social justice, and defiance of the establishment. He was one of the greatest boxers of all time, too, by the way. A gifted pugilist and poetic trash talker who somehow possessed the skills to back up his gift of gab. The facts and statistics of Ali's career hold up against any ring legends and frankly surpass most. A gold medal at the 1960 Olympics in Rome, Italy. A 3-time linear world heavyweight champion. The only man to accomplish such a feat in boxing's glamour division. 22 victories in heavyweight title fights and 19 successful defenses over 2 title reigns. What's also particularly expressive is that Ali's 19 defenses were evenly split. 9 during his first reign, before the suspension, 10 after. Okay, isn't that something? 9 before, 10 after. Wow, I did not know that. See, I'm learning too. And don't forget that Ali was prevented from boxing during his prime due to his courageous anti-Vietnam War stance. Just think what he would have been if he would have missed those 3 years. Wow, scary. Just like if Salvador Sanchez wouldn't have got killed at 22. Scary. Ali's impact on boxing history, however, extends far beyond mere numbers. His rivalry with Joe Frazier is arguably the greatest ever, and his knockout of the seemingly invincible George Foreman in the Rumble in the Jungle, the rope-a-dope fight, is one of the all-time upsets and indelible moments in modern sports, not just boxing, sports period. Unlike most athletes today, Ali was also a man of profound convictions, standing up against institutionalized racism and inequality. Amongst other things, he spoke eloquently and with passion, and he eventually won over the public by never compromising his values, not once. When he was hated back there in the 60s, all the way up to his death in the teens he was the same man, and the public eventually came over to his side. Never compromised his values. Ali's passing, when he passed, it left us a gaping chasm in areas that extend far beyond boxing. A chasm that cannot and should not even be completely bridged. Muhammad Ali, the greatest. Now we go to Louisiana. The greatest boxer born in the state of Louisiana, Tony Canzoneri. Here's Tony. I know I got 20 likes in there. Nope. Everybody hitting that like button. Okay. Tony Canzoneri from Slidell, Louisiana. I guess I'm saying Slidell, Louisiana. Or Slidell, Louisiana. I guess I'm saying that right. Okay. He had a record of 137 wins, 24 losses, 10 draws. That's a lot of draws. And 44 knockouts. Now, few resumes in boxing history can match Tony Canzoneri's, okay? One of them Oscar resumes. During a career that stretched from 1925 to 1939, Canzoneri faced, get this, 18 world champions and 6 future Hall of Famers over his 171 fights. And he became only the second fighter to ever win championships in 3 weight classes, capturing world honors at featherweight, lightweight, and junior welterweight. And you know who the first one was? Henry Armstrong, who's also on this list. Okay. Now, particularly impressive was Canzoneri besting fellow legend Jack Kid Berg in their trilogy. After Berg had won a 10-round decision in their first contest in 1930, Canzoneri rebounded to dominate and flatten Berg in 3 frames a year later to win the lightweight and junior welterweight titles. Only 5 months after that, Canzoneri would again beat Berg, this time via 15-round unanimous decision, in a fight that featured a controversial foul from Canzoneri. He scored a legitimate knockdown in round 1. In the 8th, prompting a raucous crowd of 18,000 to protest the alleged injustice against Berg. Other standout names on Canzoneri's ledger include Kid Chocolate, Barney Ross, Jimmy McLaurin, and Johnny Dundee, to name a few. Canzoneri shared the Ring Magazine's 1934 Fighter of the Year honors with Barney Ross. He was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in the inaugural year in 1990 into the Old Timers category. Tony Canzoneri. All right. The greatest fighter born in Maine, Joey Gamache. Is it Joey? Oh, is that in the way? Excuse me. It is Joey. I had something partially blocking my screen. Joey Gamache from Bath, Maine. Finished his career with a record of 55 wins, 4 losses, 38 by way of KO. Okay? E-Class. What's happening, E-Class? How are you today, my friend? Greatest fighters born in each state in America today, E-Class. E-Class. Yeah, you got a rinse. Yeah, you hear all the time. I wasn't sure. Okay. Yeah, you're in blue. But salute, E-Class. Okay, yeah. From Maine, Tony Gamache. Joey Gamache is the greatest fighter born in the state of Maine. Now, Joey Gamache is the only boxer from Maine to ever win a world title, which he accomplished in 1991 with the stoppage of Jerry Nigglebini to claim the WBA strap at 130 pounds. Gamache would vacate the title without defending it and move up to lightweight, where he would also win the WBA championship by knockout, this time against Il Sung Jun. At that point, in June of 1992, Gamache was 29-0 and a 2-weight champion. However, he would lose his lightweight title in his first defense when Tony Lopez stopped him in the 11th round of a fight Gamache was edging. Okay? Camacho diligently worked his way back into title contention. You had to do that back in them days. Not like this guy we just had, Pandora, get knocked out, and his next fight was a title fight. Back in them days, you had to work your way back into contention, which Camacho did, okay? And he won the NABF title against Jeff Mayweather. And then he got blitzed in 2 rounds by Ozubek Nazarov in a bid to reclaim his old WBA belt. Still, Camacho persevered, winning 10 of his next 20 contests. Winning 19 of his next, I can really say 10 of 20. 19 of his next 20 contests. His only defeat came to legendary Julio Cesar Chavez, who set up the controversial final fight of his career. Let's see what happened in this controversial fight. In February of 2000, Arturo Gatti, who dangerously outweighed Camacho, yeah, that's what it was a weight thing, on the night of their fight, scored a frightening knockout that sent Camacho into retirement. Camacho sued Gatti and the New York State Athletic Commission, and while he was not awarded any damages, negligence was found in the handling of weigh-in process. Yeah, they had weight classes for a reason, man. Yeah, thank you. They found negligence. And Camacho, though, deserves to be remembered for far more than the Gatti loss, and the former champion has found success in retirement, training boxers including military champion Boyd Melson. Yeah, we was talking yesterday. We need a 10% rehydration clause across the board. Next is Maryland. Joe Gans. That's Joe on the left, of course. Ooh, 21. 21. We're going to work our way to 40 one of these days. 21 appreciations. Thank y'all so much. From Maryland, Joe Gans. Okay? Born in Baltimore. Ooh-wee. He ended with a professional record of 145 wins, 10 losses, 16 draws. That's a lot of draws. And 100 knockouts. Remember the 100 knockout club, though. Now, although he died of tuberculosis at only 35 years old, Joe Gans is considered to be one of the greatest pound-for-pound fighters of all time. And embodying his moniker of his nickname, the Old Master, via a scientific approach to prize fighting. Also, he fought in an era defined by institutionalized racism and segregation. Gans was the first American-born black man to win a world title, okay? Because George Dixon was the first black person to ever win a world title, but he was Canadian. Joe Gans was the first American-born black man. And that's a world title in any sport, not just boxing, any sport, okay? Just Do Boxing in the building. What's up, Just Do Boxing? The Voice. Coming up in a little over half hour. Salute to Just Do Boxing in the building. Okay, yeah, Joe Gans was the first American-born black man to win a world title. Okay? And he was from Baltimore, Maryland. He's the greatest boxer born in Maryland. Okay? I say. Now, he achieved this. He became the first American black man to win a title in 1902 when he knocked out Frank Ern, who had previously lost to in the first round. Okay? Now, prior to this win over Ern, which saw him become the undisputed world lightweight champion, and Gans had only been able to challenge for the colored version of the title. Remember, we had a show on that, a part of the show on that a while back, the colored championship, yeah. In fact, Gans, as well as other elite black fighters, were often prevented from facing white opponents, or they were pressured into carrying them, or fixing fights, or participating in fixed fights, right? Or accepting meager purses. However, Gans, who was part of the Real 100 Knockout Club, practically held the lightweight title hostage until consecutive knockout losses to Battler Nelson in 17 and 21 rounds in 1908. Yeah, he had it for like 6 years straight. Like they say, held it hostage. Okay? Now, Gans was revered by fellow luminaries like Sam Langford, Benny Leonard, and Bob Fitzsimmons. And he was also a character in Ernest Hemingway's 1916 short story, A Matter of Color. Now, despite his untimely death, Gans managed to symbolize and embody hope for African Americans, all while forging one of boxing's most storied legacy, Joe Gans. Okay? The greatest fighter born in the state of Massachusetts is Sandy Sadler. There's Sandy. Sports Prediction 101. What's up, Sports Predictions 101? Welcome aboard. You talking about Joe Gans? Yeah, from Baltimore. My city too, Sports Predictions 101. Welcome to Cast Sports. We are talking about the greatest fighters born in each state today. Okay, let's continue. Now we're up to Massachusetts. Yeah, we won't finish it. We're going to continue this into tomorrow, okay? And we're going to get all we can in today. We got like another half hour. So let's continue. Sandy Sadler, Massachusetts representative on the list. Actually born in Boston, Massachusetts. Finished his career with a record of 145 wins, 16 losses, and 2 draws, 104 by way of knockout. Okay? Had that great trilogy, well, 4 fights, went past the trilogy with Willie Pep. Now, it's curious to note that Sandy Sadler was knocked out in his second professional fight, especially because it would be his only stoppage defeat in his career. Okay? In 161 fights, he was stopped in the second one and never stopped again. Wow. Now, when Sadler finally earned the featherweight title shot after 93 fights, he upset fellow legend Willie Pep, who I just finished talking about a little while ago. Via stunning 4th round knockout. It was stunning because Pep is considered one of the greatest defensive fighters ever, and Sadler knocked him out. Okay. Now, this would begin one of boxing's great rivalries, with Pep winning this return fight via 15-round unanimous decision, only for Sadler to emerge victorious on 2 more occasions. However, now check this out. Their 4th fight was so foul-filled that Pep lost his boxing license, and Sadler was suspended indefinitely. Anybody haven't watched that? That was terrible, man. They call it one of the dirtiest fights ever from both of them. Pep lost his license. Sadler was suspended indefinitely. Okay. Willie Pep versus Sandy Sadler 4. That's the one. I've seen it a couple times. Still, Sadler had emerged from their rivalry with 3 victories and 3 wins inside the distance. Okay. Now somebody told me, he knocked him out 3 times. Sadler's last featherweight title fight against Flash Elorday, great Filipino fighter Flash, was actually a win, TKO 13. So his final reign as champion never ended in defeat. Unfortunately, Sadler was forced to retire due to a detached retina, and he sadly suffered from dementia later in life. Still, Sadler's legacy as one of the 3 or so greatest featherweights had been long since secured. He was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 1990. Sandy Sadler. Next is Michigan. You know, y'all know who that is already, Michigan. I ain't even got to tell you. But I'm going to talk about him real quick. Money. Pretty boy / money. Floyd Mayweather. Born in Grand Rapids, greatest boxer born in Michigan. Floyd Money Mayweather. Born in Grand Rapids, Michigan. 50-0, 27 knockouts. Okay? Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s combination of speed, power, and technical prowess made him one of the best pound-for-pound fighters of all time. Mayweather competed between 1996 and 2017, 21-year career. Now, besides retiring with an undefeated record, he won 15 major world championships, from super featherweight to junior middleweight. This includes the Ring Magazine title in 3 weight classes and the Lineal Championship in 4 weight classes, twice at welterweight. This is an extraordinary career. As an amateur, he won a bronze medal in the featherweight division at the 1996 Olympics, cheated out of the gold. We all know the story. 3 U.S. Golden Glove championships at light flyweight, and featherweight, and the U.S. National Championship at featherweight. Mayweather was named Fighter of the Decade for the 2010s by the Boxing Writers Association of America, or BWAA. In 2016, ESPN ranked Mayweather the greatest boxer pound for pound of the last 25 years. Okay? As of May 2023, BoxRec ranks him the 2nd greatest boxer of all time, pound for pound. Also, Mayweather is referred to as the best defensive boxer in history and the most accurate puncher among professional boxers, having the highest plus-minus ratio in recorded boxing history. And Mayweather was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in the class of 2021. That's incredible. Floyd, Pretty Boy / Money Mayweather, okay? The greatest boxer born in the state of Michigan. Next is, what's next? Okay, what's next? Oh, Minnesota. The greatest boxer born in Minnesota is Tommy Gibbons. Yeah, we're going to continue this in tomorrow's show. We're not going to finish it today, but, we're going to get what we can in because it's got to do all the states, But we're going to finish it tomorrow. I hope you're enjoying it. I am. Okay. Okay, Minnesota is Tommy Gibbons. There's Tommy on the right, okay? On the right, Tommy Gibbons. Actual place of birth, St. Paul, Minnesota. Finished his career with a record of 56 wins, 4 losses, 1 draw, 48 knockouts. 40-1 newspaper. I got to find out what their newspaper decisions. I do not understand that, but I will let y'all know. I'm going to find it. Past Sports is going to find it. Newspaper decision. Anybody know what the hell that is? Yeah, but he was 40-0, 56-4, 48 knockouts, 40-1 in newspaper decision, whatever that is. But anyway, St. Paul, Minnesota boasts a proud tradition of boxing, okay? And although Tommy Gibbons, he never won a world title, he's a worthy entrant for the state of Minnesota. He faced the best from his era, leapfrogging from middleweight all the way up to heavyweight. He's the only man to last the 15-round distance with Jack Dempsey. Only man to do it, 15 rounds with Dempsey, over Dempsey's illustrious career. Now, the other fighters who managed to beat Gibbons, Harry Greed, Billy Miss, and Gene Tunney, all Hall of Famers, with Tunney being the only man to knock Gibbons out. But Gibbons was far more than a gifted boxer and punishing puncher who compiled a glittering record while ultimately coming up short against the absolute best. Definitely fought all the best. Gibbons owns 2 newspaper decision wins over the aforementioned Greed, and he also bested George Carpenter. But newspaper decision must not mean anything because Greed definitely got one loss on BoxRec. It doesn't say nothing about that other stuff. Although he went the distance with Dempsey, Befuddling Dempsey with slick boxing and defense, he failed to muster any significant offense. In BoxRec Encyclopedia entry for Gibbons, you'll note that a disappointing live gate led to the three banks of Shelby, Montana going belly up to cover Dempsey's purse. And guess what? Gibbons didn't even get paid for the fight. In other words, Gibbons was a truly great fighter. He had to fight, settle for the most harrowing and moral victory, won 15 rounds with Dempsey because he didn't get paid for it. Wow. And bankrupted the town just to pay Dempsey's part of the purse. Damn. Mississippi, the great Homicide Hank, Henry Armstrong, Columbus, Mississippi, 189 fight career. What? Wait a minute. 181 fights, 151 wins, 21 losses, 9 draws, 101 knockouts. He's in that 100 knockout club. Okay, the 182 fight career for Henry. Yeah, everybody. Where's everybody been the whole show? Look like everybody done finally showed up. Was there something else going on at 2 o'clock or something? Yeah, okay. Now I'm happy. Okay. Now, although Henry Armstrong came of age in Missouri, like I said, the list is based on birthplace. So he's representing Mississippi on the list. Perfect example. Okay. Now, he edged out light heavyweight Archie Moore. He was also born in Mississippi. And he's only a handful of fighters who rank ahead of the old mongoose, Archie Moore, historically. Now, Henry is one of the greatest pound-for-pound fighters of all time. He just did some amazing stuff. Listen. Armstrong holds a unique and unmatched distinction of simultaneously holding 3 undisputed championships when there were only 8 weight classes, a feat he accomplished in 1938. Only 8 weight classes. He was champion in 3 of them, and he missed being champion in 4 by fighting to a controversial draw. Okay, he almost was champion in half of the weight classes at one time. Now, a member of the vaunted 100 Knockout Club, Homicide Hank was one of boxing's most dynamic pressure fighters, a whirlwind of hooks and uppercuts who would chop and saw overwhelmed opponents into submission. A champion at featherweight, lightweight, and welterweight, Armstrong left his most indelible mark at 147. Anybody ever saw that fight between him and Sugar Ray Robinson? Watch that one. They fought at welterweight, Henry Armstrong against Sugar Ray Robinson. I ain't even gonna tell you nothing about it. You gotta watch it for yourself. Google it, it's out there. 2 of the top 5 pound-for-pound fighters of all time, Sugar Ray Leonard and Henry Armstrong. I didn't know they fought till a few months back, but I've seen it like 3 times now. Okay, both in the Cash Sports top 5, top 10 all time, top 5. Sugar Ray Robinson is 1, Henry Armstrong is 3. Okay, yeah, he did his most indelible work at 147. His reign began in 1938 at 147 when he sent legend Barney Ross into retirement. Armstrong would defend, now get this, he would defend the World Welterweight Championship 19 times, which is a division record. And guess what? He did it all in 1 year, okay? 19 times in 1 year. And then he fought 11 times the next year, 30 times in 2 years. It's frankly impossible to do Armstrong's career a modicum of justice in such limited space. But just consider some of these numbers. A record of 59 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, 51 knockouts between December 1936 and October 1940. Not only did he have 19 defenses in 1 year, he had 5 in 3 weeks, okay? 5 title defenses in 3 weeks. That's 21 days. Okay? Crazy, man. He beat 16 world champions. Numbers do not reveal all, but with Henry Armstrong, they provide compelling and unimpeachable evidence that has kept him firmly planted as one of the 3 best fighters to ever step inside the ring. Sugar Ray Robinson, Muhammad Ali, Henry Armstrong. Yeah, those 3. Just incredible, man. Just incredible. 19 title defenses in 1 year. 5 in 3 weeks. Just crazy, man. Missouri is Michael Spinks. The greatest boxer born in Missouri is Michael Spinks. The Spinks Jinx. There's Michael. Actually from St. Louis, Missouri. Out there where our friend, our own Showtime, the guy is from. St. Louis, Missouri. All right. And Spinks ended up with a record of 31 wins, 1 loss, 21 by knockout. We all know what their loss was. The 90-second demolition that Mike Tyson did of him, remember? Yeah, that was bad. I thought Tyson had killed Michael Spinks for a minute there until I saw his mouth moving. I said, oh no, he done killed him. Jay and his mother was at the fight. Jay said his mother fainted. It was so fast. But anyway, brothers Michael and Leon Spinks both captured gold medal at the 1976 Olympics in Montreal as members of arguably the greatest ever U.S. boxing squad. I don't know. 84 was bad too. Remember I told you? Pernell Whitaker, Evander Holyfield, one of those brothers from the Bronx, Jim Steve. I can't think of his last name. Mark Breland. Yeah. Oh no, 84 was bad too now. But 76 was arguably one of the best, no doubt. Oh, that's stretch. A 12-year stretch. 76, 80. 80 didn't get to go, remember. 84, 88, and 92 was good team. Yeah. All the way through that stretch. From 76 to 92 was all incredible team. But 76 and 84 between those two. If you're talking best. Yeah. Now, but while Leon would enjoy a meteoric rise to heavyweight stardom, you know, remember he beat Ali after his 7th fight. Then Ali took it back and never heard of, well, you heard of Leon again, but he never did anything else. It was Michael who would go on to have a Hall of Fame career as a 2-division champion, forging a legacy as one of the greatest light heavyweights of all time, no doubt. Spinks became the class of a compelling light heavyweight era with wins over Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, the White Muhammad Qawi, and Eddie Davis, earning him the WBA, WBC, IBF titles. 3-belt undisputed, no WBO at that time. Spinks remained undefeated as a light heavyweight, never beaten at light heavyweight. And his overall record in world title fights was 14-1, with 9 knockouts. Yeah, like I said, we knew who that 1 loss was against, with a mark of 7-1, 2 knockouts against other world champions. And while his vaunted right hand, he named it the Spinks Jinx, was his calling card. Spinks possessed exceptional boxing skills also, no doubt. Yes, he did. But unfortunately, this is what I was talking about. Unfortunately, Spinks is most remembered for being knocked out by Mike Tyson in 90 seconds. Right? In the heavyweight unification fight. Because Spinks had took the titles from Holmes, remember? And he went up against Mike, which proved to be Spinks' last fight. However, what's far more significant is that when Spinks moved up to heavyweight, he became the first reigning light heavyweight champion to win the championship at heavyweight. First one. Archie Moore tried it, but Archie Moore didn't win it. Archie Moore went up to heavyweight as a light heavyweight champion, but he lost. But Spinks did it successfully. Although his 2 fights with Larry Holmes were razor close decisions, and I thought Holmes won both of them, by the way. But the judges didn't, and that's what counted. bench etched his name in boxing history, all while further cementing his standing amongst light heavyweight legends. Michael the Spinks Jinx Spinks. Okay. 22. Everybody smashing on that appreciation button. Don't make me send old school and D1 into the chat. I know where they at. I'll go get them. Okay. Now we move to Montana. Marvin Camel. That's Marvin on the left there. He's the greatest boxer born in Montana. We're winding down. We're going to finish the M's and then we're going to finish up the list tomorrow, okay? From Ronan, Montana. He finished his career with a record of 45 wins, 13 losses, 4 draws, and 21 knockouts. Marvin Camel. Okay? Take a look at him real quick. Now, he's a member of the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribe of the Flathead Indian Reservation. Okay? Marvin represented the state of Montana with pride and distinction, making cruiserweight history along the way. He was the first ever cruiserweight champion. I've talked about that before, remember? In fact, Camel was the first fighter to win both the WBC and IBF cruiserweight titles in the newly created division, technically making him the first ever world champion in one of boxing's sadly overlooked weight classes. Camel initially fought Mate Parlow to a draw for the WBC title in 1979. But, you know, that was for the first title in the division, so they had to have an immediate rematch because it still wasn't a champion yet. So they had an immediate rematch, and Camel pulled this one out. However, Carlos de Leon would defeat Camel in his first defense and also stopped Camel in 1982 in a rematch. But undaunted, Camel worked his way back to contention like you had to do back then, like I said. Unlike now, you can get knocked, sparked out cold and come back and fight for a title in your next fight nowadays. But back then, you had to go back down and work your way back up. You know, at least about 3 fights before they even thought of giving you another title shot, okay? But he worked his way back up. And guess what? Just like he became the first WBC Cruiserweight champion, he became the first IBF Cruiserweight champion. He beat Roddy McDonald in Halifax, Nova Scotia by stoppage, becoming a 2-time Cruiserweight champion and the first for the WBC and IBF. WBA hadn't created their Cruiserweight division yet, but it was coming, and the WBO wasn't around yet, okay? Now, earlier in his career, Campbell split a pair of fights against Matthew Saad Muhammad, and he ended his run as a professional as a well-traveled, universally respected fighter. Campbell would often wear an eagle-feathered headdress in honor of his heritage, and in 2006 at the WBC convention, he was awarded honorary champion status. All right. Okay. We're going to end right there because we're going to continue tomorrow. We're going to start with the ends in Nebraska, okay? Not Terrence Crawford, because it's all former guys. Now, if it was active, Terrence Crawford was definitely no doubt. I started to put him on there anyway, but then I found another one, Max Bayer, okay? Remember Jeff Rowe from the Beverly Hillbillies? That's Max Bayer's father, but he's going to be first tomorrow, so they give me a good stopping point. I can't forget him. But I hope everybody enjoyed it so far. Told you at the beginning it's going to be a 2-part show. And I actually didn't wait until 2:30 to start today because I knew it was going to be big. But I appreciate everybody for rocking with me once again. We got just due in about 10 minutes. But I never reviewed the week neither. Review is looking backwards, right? Preview is looking forward. Tomorrow, so of course we'll begin with the rest of this. And then the rest of it is brought to you by Al Booger, because Wednesday is the day where I do a show suggested to me by somebody in the chat. And Al Booger suggested the show on judges criteria for decisions and boxing rules. We're gonna look at some judges too. Preview profile some judges. We're gonna look at the Queensberry rules. All that's tomorrow, starting with finishing up the greatest boxer from every state show, born in every state show. And then Thursday is going to be a history of boxing in Asia, continent of Asia. Friday is the profile. This week is the Big Bear, Charles Sonny Liston. Of course, Ali calls him the Big Ugly Bear. I call him the Big Bad Bear, but the man's official nickname was the Big Bear. He's Friday, Charles Sonny Liston. Yep, don't miss it. It's going to be a good one. But we winding down to The Voice is up next. Just Do Boxing. Gonna be building over there. Gonna go over and listen to that. No hangout at 8 o'clock. I missed that hangout, man. I gotta get used to that. At 8 o'clock, I find my hand going to the phone and get ready to hit YouTube and pull up the hangout. Then I say, oh, ain't no hangout. Gotta get used to that. But we could get that Angry White Brothers show between Old School and D1. That would be a hit, because this definitely ain't not another show on YouTube like that for sure. Like I was saying yesterday, I would be scared to hit their link and go up there with them two brothers, man. D1 go from 0 to 100 faster than I do. You know, they thought I was bad when I was blocking BBO boxing in here. D1 almost bit the man's head off up there. D1 had to come off the panel. He was hot, yeah. But it's all good. I told BBO this morning, he's welcome back. Families argue. You know, sometimes you gotta put a family member in line. That's all I did. Got a little credit away. Hey, Jay Hardcore blocked him too, so I don't feel bad. Put him out one show too, so now I don't feel bad at all. But yeah, tomorrow is going to be start out with finishing off this show. We got the ends through the rest of the alphabet, a few more fighters. Then we're gonna do the judges' criteria, brought to you by Al Booker this week. Yeah. Finish up with the history. I was supposed to do a history of boxing in Japan last week, but I never got it finished. And so I said, I might as well just do the whole continent of Asia, you know. And a profile on some of the top boxers that came out of Asia, like Manny Pacquiao, Flash Alaude, Pancho Villa. They all Filipinos. There were other monsters still active. I can't do him. Oh man, I don't know too many, but I'll know some by tomorrow. Yeah, but I appreciate everybody for rocking with me. You know, if it's Monday through Friday at 2 p.m., it's Cass Sports the Box Story. And make sure you come back tomorrow to get the end of this fire show. But something going on at 2 o'clock, because I noticed it was very low attendance. And then like 2:30, I mean, like 3:15, 3:30, it picked up. The normal amount of people came in. Was it a press conference or something going on? I was like, what's going on? But nobody in here. But later on in the show, everybody showed up. I don't know what was going on. But I'm glad everybody came. I was feeling bad. Kept looking at the number. Had one time. Then 2. Stayed at 3 for about a half hour. I was sad. But everybody showed up at the end, so thank you. What the likes look like. I wasn't going to cry until after 4 o'clock, though. I wasn't going to cry in front of y'all. I was going to wait till I got off the air and cry if we had never got over 2. But it did. 22 likes is good. 34 is my record, which I got Friday. We're going to hit 40 one of these days. We are going to hit 40 one of these days. 34. Just 6 more. That ain't bad. Oh, Fighters Arrival. Okay, BN Boxing News. Thank you. I knew it was something. Because I used to have more than 2. I was like, damn, what'd I do? Okay, yeah, thank you, BN Boxing News. I knew something was going on around 2:30. Yeah. Because after that, everybody showed up. Yeah. Okay. That explains it. But it's now time for Just Do Boxing, The Voice, building over there. Okay. So I gotta hurry up and get off here so I can get on over there. Don't want to miss none of that build. It's today, the 14th. And I didn't even make it on the back of the page today. Some of the fighters was arriving. Arrive at 4 o'clock or 6 o'clock. Arrive at 8 o'clock because we don't have any shows on at 8. You know, we'll do it at 2. But anyway, Sports Predictions 101 is in the building. Just Do Boxing, The Voice. Coming up in about 5 minutes, as a matter of fact. E-Class. Thomas Hill, hashtag JBT. Lonnie Lee, hashtag JBT. BN Boxing News. Mike Rim. D for the Win. Let's Talk Fashion, a.k.a. Remo, hashtag JBT. Showtime The Guy Pass, our friend from St. Louis, Missouri. Jury Faints, 757, hashtag JBT. Mike Masick. Oh, yeah, I did see Mike Grimm. Yeah, Mike Grimm, Mike Masick, Ray Patterson, straight out of New Jersey. The Mighty Rise Podcast, hashtag JBT. And Miss Cass, hashtag JBT. But we're all JBT. You know, everybody you don't have to have it on there. Everybody in here is JBT, including you, E-Class, and Sports Predictions 101. This is your first time, but you JBT too. Okay. Everybody coming in here, once you come past that door, you're JBT. Okay. But I appreciate everybody for rocking with me again. Make sure you come back tomorrow to hear the end of the greatest fighters born in every state. We still got some more to go, Hearns, Sugar Ray Leonard. But you say, well, Maryland and Detroit, Michigan and Maryland went past. How is Hearns and Sugar Ray Leonard still on the list? Because they weren't born in Michigan and Maryland. They fought out of those states. But Hearns was born in Tennessee. Sugar Ray was born in North Carolina, North Kakalaki. So that's where they represent. Born at. It's not where they had majority of their career. Born at. Okay? So appreciate everybody, though. And everybody have a great day. But I'm going to see y'all in Just Do the Hangout at 8. Oh, no, I'm not going to see y'all in the Hangout at 8. No Hangout at 8. And Rise Podcast at 9. And turn your notifications on. You never know where you're going to get a Casuals Corner or a BN Boxing News. So hit subscribe, turn your notifications on, hit all that fire content. Cash Sports, y'all. I'm gone. Yeah, I can't believe it's 4 years. Jury Faints. Time flies when you're having fun. But we'll continue tomorrow. I'm out. Everybody have a good one.